Welcome everyone to your Norfolk Public Schools school board meeting for this evening. We're going to go ahead and proceed with our meeting. Ms. Bassine, I believe you have some comments.
Good evening. We request that all cell phones and pagers be turned to vibrate or turned off during the course of this meeting. Thank you. It has become a tradition to honor our nation at each of our board meetings by presenting the colors and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. The colors tonight are being presented by the National Junior ROTC Color Guard from Booker T. Washington High School under the direction of Chief Warrant Officer Jimmy Creer. Please rise and remain standing for the presentation of the colors and the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance. We will now have our presentation of colors.
Colors. Halt. Face. Reset. Colors. Ready. Cut.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Colors. Ready. Cut. Right. Face. Here. Forward. March.
Please be seated. We're going to proceed right along with our agenda. The next we have is our superintendent's report from Dr. Boone.
Good evening, Mr. Jordan, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. It is always a pleasure to monthly share some items of interest and news around Norfolk Public Schools as part of the superintendent's report. And so I ask you to sit back and enjoy tonight's video.
After serving the Ocean View community for over 75 years, the time for change had finally come as ground was broken for the new Ocean View Elementary. Dignitaries from the city and school district, along with community members and staff and students from the school, came together to celebrate the start of a brand new building that will offer students greater educational opportunities.
You know, it's really exciting. I was hesitant at first because I've been here for 20 years now. This is my 20th year because I'm so attached to the building. But I'm really excited because the kids are going to have all this new technology and all these new opportunities. And with our maritime program still in place, we're going to have a great new science lab, and our forest is still intact. So it's going to be really exciting for the kids. So it's a great day.
I'm ecstatic. This is why I went into education, to provide children with an opportunity, not just from the instructional side, but also from the physical environment, that we can provide them with an opportunity to be successful.
I think it's great because it's going to be big. They are going to have new supplies for the kids, and it's still safe. And there's going to be a lot of green spots around, so I think it's going to be really good.
The new Ocean View Elementary is scheduled to open in the fall of 2017. The school will house approximately 700 students in grades K through 5 and will continue to feature its Maritime Pathway program. After 18 months of planning, students and staff at Berkeley Campostella Early Childhood Center finally got to celebrate the official start of the DayMac program. State and city officials, along with school board members and NPS administrators, were on hand to congratulate the students and staff for being the only school in Virginia to receive the prestigious White House ConnectEd grant. DAMAC, which stands for Developing Amazing Young Minds through Apple Connect, was made possible thanks to the ConnectEd grant, which brought Apple and AT&T on board. Apple provides iPads for all the students, plus multiple products for teachers and staff, while AT&T provides technology that will enable them to use their new tools away from the school.
This is so exciting for us. You know, AT&T Aspire is our signature philanthropic initiative that's really focusing on innovation and education. So being a part of the ConnectEd initiative and being able to provide mobile broadband for these students is really, really a joy for us.
Both Apple and AT&T will work with the school for the duration of the 3-year grant. But the main reason for the celebration is because of all the educational opportunities this technology will provide to these young minds.
But what I want to do is enhance academic achievement. I indicated in the program that part of the grant was indicating what we do each and every day here at Berkeley Campus Stella. We're very creative, we're very innovative, and we initiate rigor in a very fun way. So with this grant, with the iPads, we will be able to enhance academic achievement, allowing our children to explore opportunities that we can't bring into the classroom.
This DAMAC grant that we have that Dr. White was able to bring to our district is just so exciting. I think it really sets us on that path to make sure that we are the center of STEM excellence, we are the center of technology excellence, and being able to have partners like WHRO and Apple and AT&T and Congressman Scott's office and Councilman Riddick and everybody coming together with the children at the center, using this technology to enhance our academic teaching and learning. I think that's what Norfolk Public Schools is all about.
Students and their parents gathered at Norview High School for the first ever Gifted Education Showcase. Norfolk Public Schools families learned about the numerous opportunities available for gifted and high-ability children in our district. Highlights of the evening included performances from the Governor's School for the Arts and presentations by the Strolling Silver Strings and the Young Scholars Program.
I think it's very cool and interesting, and I'm glad they're doing it because it has like the future children, like of the future, they get to express themselves.
It's fantastic. I think that Norfolk Public Schools have a lot to offer, and people need to know that. And I think it's hard to get a lot of the information out there. So learn as much as you can, go and get all the information, gather it, and share it with your kids.
Particularly in this day and age, people feel that gifted education is elitist, or gifted education is not looked at because you think, oh, they can take care of themselves. But all students deserve to have a quality education, and all students deserve to grow. And that also includes our gifted learners. And so we saw opportunities that our gifted learners can have. The Young Scholars Program designed especially for them. The Governor's School for the Arts for our talented gifted students. Strolling Strings, Jazz Ensemble. So we have a lot of different programs, different opportunities. But if you don't know about it, you don't apply. So this gave us a chance to really show and highlight those programs.
Over 200 students in kindergarten, first, and second grades at Taylor Elementary were treated to a special performance of Little Red Riding Hood by the Virginia Opera. The performance was possible thanks to an anonymous donation and as part of the Virginia Opera's Adopt a School program. From the very first notes, it was clear that these young students were enthralled with this unique brand of storytelling.
Well, you know, music and storyline all tie in. It brings a literacy component that cements the storyline in their head. They have the characters, they have predictions of what they think is going to happen next, and they have mood and nuance. And it was really fun to watch them figure out what was going to happen next and how the wolf was going to make his deception. So tons of literary components and just really bringing those characters to life.
With each opera, not only to be age appropriate, but to find relevant ties to the Virginia standards of learning, because obviously we're pulling kids out of class, so we want this to act as an enriching, complementary activity to what they're learning about in school. But beyond that, it's exposure to opera. For many of them, it's their first exposure, and opera is just such a wonderful confluence of the arts. So my hope is that it introduces them to opera in a way that will help to cultivate future audiences for our art form.
The School Board of the City of Norfolk recognized students and staff for their academic and athletic accomplishments during a ceremony at Lake Taylor Middle School in late January. This mid-year recognition ceremony gave the school board and superintendent a unique opportunity to personally thank individuals and groups for all their hard work. This has been the February report.
As you can see from the report, there are so many great things that are happening in the Norfolk Public Schools, and who better to tell our story but ourselves? So we're glad to bring these highlights to you each month.
You also have under your report a couple of presentations. First one being the American Heart Association in Centera. Good evening.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Angela Francis, and I'm here with the American Heart Association. I have several people with me here this evening. I work with all of your local schools through our Jump Rope for Heart, Hoops for Heart, Red Out, and Heart Chase programs, and we are working very hard to educate children on healthy hearts, also how to cure heart disease, and of course CPR. And I would like to just start out by saying thank you to all of you for supporting our programs in your schools over the years. We've had a number of years that your schools have been very supportive, and every year we're growing. And I just would like to acknowledge you this evening by giving you a plaque for last year's participation. We did have 15 schools do Jump Rope for Heart or Hoops for Heart, and your schools last year raised over $34,000, so that's amazing, and I would like to say thank you for that. Also, I did just want to make sure that everyone knows that your schools do get some great givebacks from us as well. Your schools are able to get some free PE equipment, also lesson plans that correlate with your SOLs, and all kinds of other great things. So I will give this to you, and also we have with us Centera, and we would like to present, of course, our CPR kits, and I have Dana to talk to you a little bit about the CPR presentation, and then we'll do that. So can I present the plaque to you all? Okay. And thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Dana Else. I am the CPR and Schools Manager for the American Heart Association Mid-Atlantic Affiliate. And in addition to the wonderful years of partnership to promote heart-healthy activity as you have in your Jump Rope for Heart and Hoops for Heart program, we've been able to forge a great relationship regarding CPR efforts in your schools. I'm sure you're aware of next year's CPR legislation, where Virginia is one of 27 states that have passed into legislation that all students are required to learn with hands-on practice CPR in order to graduate. That in itself will put millions of lifesavers into the community, and that we're excited to partner with Norfolk Public Schools in your efforts. In addition, here in Virginia, teachers for licensure are required to have CPR training. I'd like to commend Deborah Rock for first developing a sustainable training program for your teachers that allows hands-on practice, that allows them to truly learn and practice with the psychomotor skill, which can definitely prove to be valuable in a cardiac arrest incident. Thank you, Deborah. She's also allowed us an opportunity to partner with various schools on our CPR in Schools program. In partnership with schools, communities, and businesses, that's really how we're going to be able to reach our mission impact, to be able to help everyone live longer, healthier lives. It's those partnerships that truly make a difference in communities like Norfolk. From that, it's my pleasure to introduce you to one of our business partnerships with Centera Heart Hospital and bring that partnership together with Norfolk Public Schools. And this evening, we have Audrey Douglas Cook that's here to present and address the school board on behalf of Centera Heart Hospital and our partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Audrey Douglas Cook. I'm the Vice President of Centera Heart Hospital. And we are truly grateful and appreciative that we have had the opportunity to engage in a great collaboration with the American Heart Association. Their initiative of Life is Why speaks volumes to Centera Healthcare as a company, as we believe our motto of We Improve Health Every Day gives us a really great chance to partner with the educators in the high schools to improve our early response for CPR. I think all of you are aware, and you certainly do not need me to share with you the statistics of the alarming rates of the number of high school students, the number of young college students that are collapsing on the soccer fields, on the football fields, and on the basketball courts. And so we're hoping that in partnership with the American Heart Association, Centera Heart Hospital, and Centera Healthcare as a company can engage in a great effort in educating and training the trainers to improve everyone's approach to be cognizant of and to be able to provide CPR to anyone in need. So on behalf of my partner, Sherry Caldwell from Centera Heart Hospital, who has formed a great team, and that team will be partnering with the American Heart Association to educate everyone. I do want to publicly thank Ms. Caldwell for her efforts, thank the American Heart Association, but most importantly, to thank all of the educators and the school system for giving us an opportunity to improve their health every day. So the kit looks like this. I certainly would like to present this to the school board. It will be given to all of the public schools, quite large. But please know, enclosed in the kit has all of the tools that are needed to teach the teachers, to teach the students, to provide CPR to anyone in need. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ms. Rock, did you have some comments you'd like to make also?
You know I never shy away from having an opportunity to speak to you all. We have been very fortunate to work with the American Heart Association, and thanks Centera very much for this opportunity. We have been, I think it was 1996 that I put mannequins in the buildings, so needless to say they're a little worn, so some new equipment is nice. But my teachers and my staff really take care of their equipment. So this will just supplement what we currently have, and it'll allow us the opportunity to roll some of our equipment to the middle schools. So that way we'll be giving it to them in middle school as well as high school, and maybe even at the elementary level if some of those teachers would like to do some things. But the program that we've got going with our teachers is working very well, and we have almost all of our teachers certified as well. So we're doing a great job, so I really appreciate you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, we would also like to thank you both for bringing this to us, for being involved with our schools, for the partnership. We know this is not the only way that you all are supporting and working with Norfolk Public Schools, so we really appreciate your commitment and your donation to us today. Please, you're fine.
Support coming. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the third item under the superintendent's report tonight is a special presentation by the Jazz Legacy Foundation. And I'll ask, I think, Daniel Roby and Stephen Daly and others to come forward.
Good evening. Superintendent Boone, Chairman Jordan, members of the school board, and honored guests. It's my privilege to introduce to you one of our newest arts partners, the Jazz Legacy Foundation. With me, we have Mr. Alvin Keels and Ms. Jerry Horn. Come on up, Jerry, so everyone can see you. And, joining me in introducing them is Mr. Stephen Daly, the director of our All-City Jazz Band. The Jazz Legacy Foundation came on board with us last year as a, Mr. Keels reached out to me and said, what can we do to support music education? We have an awesome jazz event that we hold as a fundraiser to support local schools, and presented me with a check for $3,000.
And this year, their event has grown. They're pretty much the dynasty of jazz events in the Hampton Roads area and expanding. This year, they have another check presentation to make, and I would like them to, at this time, be able to do that. And then we will show our appreciation with a certificate for them as a new arts partner with Norfolk Public Schools. Sir?
On behalf of the Jazz Legacy Foundation, we present to Norfolk Public Schools a check for $5,000 this year. Which our goal is to support music education. As mentioned earlier, we do have a big fundraiser in November to support our goals of supporting music education. And in the cities in our local area. And this is our donation for this year. And we are growing, and with your support, we will continue to give our support as time goes on. Thank you very much.
Where would you like us? Okay.
Sure.
On behalf of the school board of the city of Norfolk, we want to present in the district this commendation of distinction to the Jazz Legacy Foundation on this day in 2016 to commend you and thank you for the wonderful grant and support of our arts program, in particular All City Jazz Ensemble. So thank you so very much.
Go to our website, jazzlegacyfoundation.org, to see what we do for the local area as far as music education.
Thank you so much.
Also just want to recognize Reverend Ed Haywood, our school board member. He is our musician, and so he wanted to, he brought this to our attention about this, and he also is very focused and diligent about making sure we're always aware of music and the arts. So I'd like to thank you, Reverend Haywood, for your continuing support in that regard as well. All right, Ms. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Let's keep the celebration going. This is a special month, February. This is the month that we recognize all of the hard work of our school board. The Virginia School Boards Association deems this month School Board Appreciation Month. So, school board members, we have a special, unique recognition for you, just to let you know how much you are appreciated, and we recognize the sacrifice that you make personally, and the time and commitment that you give to the district, and we appreciate all you do for our students. So I'm going to let Dr. Boone, turn it over to Dr. Boone before we reveal this special recognition.
Thank you, Ms. Banks. I think it is so appropriate to have appreciation, to express appreciation for school board members. It is a tough second career. There are many that think that school board members show up twice a month, and they spend a few hours, and that's the end of their responsibilities. But there's so much more. And, you know, I know up close and personal the commitment of this board as I went through the search process and how many hours I was able to spend with them, you know, interviewing and others who were doing this work. But beyond that, what you see before you is a group of people who is so committed to the children of this district that for them it's not about a political stepping stone. It truly is about how do we address and take care of the children in this community, particularly the 32,000 plus students that attend the Norfolk Public Schools. So we're excited to be able to say thank you tonight to the school board for all that you do and your commitment to the education of children in Norfolk Public Schools. And we have a little special tribute that we put together, and I'd like to thank all of the folks in communications and others who have supported this. So sit back and enjoy our tribute to this Norfolk Public School Board.
Thank you, Dr.
Tell me, what is a school board?
Like it's something that is in school and it is a board.
Okay, it is a school and it is a board, okay?
The school board is when my mama goes to lots of meetings and she explains why it's good to do things and when it's not good to do things.
Suppose I told you that there were people involved with it. Have you ever heard of the school board?
No.
No.
Because no one can build a school without a drawing about the school, what it's going to be. Smart boards and the computers. The Largemont Carnival?
It's for giving us books and paying all the paychecks.
They make us do harder stuff, which is challenging for ourselves to learn.
Happy School Board Appreciation Month. I'd like to thank all of my board mates for all the work that you do. We truly contribute in different ways, whether bringing our skill sets, our talents, our personalities, and I want to thank each and every one of you for all that you do for our school system.
I do appreciate the colleagues that I have working with me and the time that they put in it. It's with time away from your families, time away from your employment, your employers, but we do it because we want to do what's best for the children of Norfolk Public Schools.
I would like to thank my fellow school board members for their dedication and their hard work. We may not always agree on the same strategies, but we do agree on what's best for children.
This week, as you know, is School Board Appreciation Week, and I have to give a shout out to the rest of my colleagues that are on the board. We call each other our extended family. We've been through so much together, deaths in the family, births in the family, but we truly dedicate a tremendous amount of time to making sure that what we are doing, the work that we do, is impacting our students directly and that it's all to their benefit.
Thank you for the smart boards and computers. Thank you, school board. Thank you, school board, for making us feel good.
Thank you, school board.
So we we all could just give our school board members a standing round of applause for all that they do for us each and every day. Them here or not, they are always working for us. Thank you so much for all that you do. And there's a small token of our appreciation in each one of your seats, so thank you.
Well, thank you so much. We really do appreciate that, and thank you for the comments by colleagues on the video, and I know it's shared by all of us. This is also a special month for school board clerk appreciation. And so we're just going to, if you bear with us a little bit, we're going to continue the celebration, and Dr. Gabriel and Ms. Wagner, I believe you all have a presentation for our wonderful school board clerk, Ms. Janelle Banks.
Mrs. Wagner just went to go and grab another part of our gift, but earlier when we were having our chat and chew, we had a delicious array of desserts that Mrs. Wagner prepared on behalf of Janelle. And Janelle is our school board clerk. She helps to keep us on task. She helps to keep us organized. She helps to make sure that we're at our meetings, especially Reverend Haywood, where we're supposed to be, when we're supposed to be there. And we couldn't do our job successfully without her leading us in that direction. And we're so appreciative. Each and every one of us are very appreciative for all that you do. And we got you a small gift that you can take anywhere and use anywhere. And behind you, we also have some balloons for you. She always takes. She always is under pressure to pronounce everyone's name correctly for the awards recognition ceremonies, and let's just give Janelle a big round of applause.
Thank you so much.
For Ms. Wagner. Okay. So we also have a certificate of appreciation for you from the Virginia School Board Association that says, in honor of your dedication and hard work for public education through continued service to students.
Thank you. Thank you all, and it's my pleasure to serve the school board and the superintendent in the district. Thank you so much.
I believe that concludes everything under the superintendent's report.
All right.
You did good. Thank you.
We're going to continue on with our meeting. We're going to move to our citizens' comments on the agenda and non-agenda items. We welcome you to come and speak regularly at our school board meetings. We like for you to know that your remarks are limited to 3 minutes per person. You can always make your request to address the board by contacting our clerk or by emailing us. When your name is called, if you would please follow the following steps. Come forward to the speaker's podium. The podium may be adjusted to suit your height. Please state your name, address, and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools or if you are employed by the system. State your position and give facts and other relevant data. If you represent a group and organization, we ask that others rise, or you may ask that they rise and be recognized. And if there are any written statements, you can give those materials to the clerk for the record. Again, speakers are limited to one appearance of 3 minutes. When the clerk signals that your time is up, please quickly end your comments and be seated. And know the school board does not respond to citizen remarks at the time that they are given. Also, just like to note, we mentioned at our last meeting, we are now, as part of our board meetings, live streaming and being live on television. There's been some articles in the newspaper recently about whether or not citizens get the opportunity to have their remarks on TV as they address government bodies. We are doing that here in Norfolk. And so I would just ask, as you come to the mic, just keep that in mind, that the public is observing all of us. The children are observing all of us. And we would like to continue to demonstrate as Norfolk Public Schools that we know how to do this right. So with that said, Ms. Banks.
Thank you, Chairman Jordan. Our first speaker is Ms. Priscilla Scott Thomas with the Norfolk Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta.
Greetings, school board members. Tonight I will be speaking, my name is Felisa, let me start with saying that. My name is Felisa Johnson. I'm the Social Action Chair for the Norfolk Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Tonight I will be speaking on behalf of the president of our chapter, Priscilla Scott Thomas. Unfortunately, she came down with a last-minute case of laryngitis, so she's not able to give this presentation tonight, okay?
We'll say good evening, everyone, though.
Norfolk Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is a proud supporter of the Norfolk Public Schools. The members of Norfolk Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated are concerned, dedicated, and involved stakeholders of the Norfolk Public School system. The Norfolk Alumni Chapter members provide an array of public service initiatives through the sorority's 5-point programmatic thrust, which includes educational development. Under educational development, the Norfolk Alumni Chapter is currently implementing 3 programs in the Norfolk Public School system. They include the Dr. Betty Shabazz Delta Academy. The Delta Academy is a mentoring program for girls ages 11 to 14 years of age. The Academy's primary goal is to prepare young girls for full participation as leaders of the 21st century. And we are doing this by implementing workshops that cover topics such as self-esteem, etiquette, public speaking, bullying, study skills, and peer pressure, just to name a few. In addition to the in addition to the Betty Shabazz Delta Academy, we also have the Dr. Jean Noble Delta Gyms, which is an extension of the Delta Academy for girls ages 15 to 18 years of age. The Delta Gyms provides the framework to actualize those dreams through the performance of specific tasks that can develop a can-do attitude. Lastly, we have the Delta Arts in the School program, a partnership that we have established with the Virginia Symphony. The Delta Arts in the School program is an initiative of the Arts and Letters Committee of the Norfolk Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. With this program, which is an innovative musical art program, it provides students in the Norfolk Public School system extensive exposure to featured musical instruments through a partnership with the Virginia Symphony. I know my time is coming to an end, so I'm trying to speak as quickly as possible, but I want to also highlight 2 scholarship programs that we also have that benefit the students that are from the Norfolk Public School system. And they include the Grace Branchcombe Perkins Service Award. This award was established in 1979 and honors the memory of the late Grace Branchcombe Perkins. With this particular award, the recipients receive a $1,000 book stipend that they can use when they go to college. Right. And lastly, last but not least, I just want to mention the Mildred Dudley Peters Scholarship Fund that gives $5,000 to graduating seniors who attend a historically black college. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Louis Jordan, followed by Ms. Peggy Scott.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, members of the school board, Dr. Boone, my name's Louis Jordan. I live at 1532 East Ocean View Avenue and have a 14-year-old daughter, believe it or not, at Blair in the 8th grade. I was born and raised in Norfolk and graduated from Maury High School a long time ago. I'm here tonight to support Valerie Tuck and the Academic Rigor program and ask you to increase funding for gifted education. I have been attending the GAC meetings since last May, and there apparently continues to be a shortage of resources and programs. even though it is recognized that the school board did increase resources and programs last year. But I urge you to please consider to fully fund the request for additional gifted resource teachers, and I hope that we continue to work toward a goal of at least one gifted resource teacher in each and every school that we have. Now, the flip side. I've got two concerns since I'm here. The first is the availability of timely and accurate data. I really appreciate the efforts and emphasis, it seems like, from things that I've heard on how the importance of transparency with Norfolk Public Schools, and I applaud that effort. There have been a number of questions that have come up at our monthly GAC meetings where the response has been the data is not available, which leads to the second area of concern that I have is apparently there are no metrics or real measures to evaluate the effectiveness of our gifted programs. That perhaps may be related to the availability of data, I don't know. But given the limited resources that you have to work with and allocate among so many different needs that the school system has, I think it is really absolutely essential that you've got the data that you need to make the best decisions that you can make on the allocation of those resources. So I urge you to do whatever you need, whatever you possibly can do to support that so that you can make the best decisions possible, that we can develop goals and objectives for all of our students and all of our programs to better our schools for everyone. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. God bless you and all your efforts, and I thank you as well for everything that you do. Appreciate it, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peggy Scott. I live in Norfolk, and I have a grandson in the 9th grade at Norview High School. First, I would like to ask the board to participate in the annual Norfolk Council of PTA's Reflections Program on March 7th to be held at Rosemont. It was very meaningful to the students that won last year to walk across the stage and shake the hands of the school board members and the superintendent. Dr. Boone, I hope your busy schedule will allow you to attend this event where we celebrate all the students that won at their own schools and then competed to represent Norfolk at the district level. Second, I was saddened to read in the newspaper that there may not be enough room at Camp Estella for some of the original plans. I would like to ask Dr. Boone and the board to find a way for those extra 125 seats for students that could apply as out of districts to go to the special programs that will be available at Camp Estella. We have a chance to make a positive impact on the students there, and I hope we can follow through and help bring some needed diversity to that school. The new STEM curriculum that will be offered should be a magnet to students from all over the city. It's just a short bridge to Camp Estella, and we need to push people to cross that bridge. Let's make something great happen on that side of the city. Third, we all know the problems at Lake Taylor Middle. How many years have they been denied accreditation? We need to be proactive and look at solutions to the problem. Let's not wait for the General Assembly to try to intervene again in our schools. There are 3 grades there, 6th, 7th, and 8th. The 8th graders should be moving on to the end of the year to high school. Most of the 6th and 7th graders will be going back to their new K through 8 Camp Estella. The 5th graders from the temporary Camp Estella will also be moving to the new school. That's going to leave a skeleton of a school there. Azalea Gardens and Norview Middle can accommodate those students. This would be the perfect time to close the low-performing Lake Taylor Middle School like we did to Lafayette Winona, change the name, and reopen the next year as a school similar to the school at Lakewood. It could be a 3 through 8th or just a revamped middle school with a great and challenging curriculum. The closing would save a year of operating costs to help offset the cost of the redo. I think the benefits would be cost effective, and it is something that should be considered. The challenge to the board is to think of a way to make this work before the citizens give up on another failing school. With the smart people we have on the school board, I'm sure you can come up with a plan that would work for the many students and families that have put our faith in you to do the right thing. Please don't let us down. Thank you for your time and efforts in making things better for all the students of our great city. And I would like for you all to all remember the PTA slogan is all means all, and I want everyone to be able to live that. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Cheryl Lacey, followed by Vernetta Howell.
Good evening, Dr. Boone, Chairman Jordan, and school board members. My name is Cheryl Lacey, and I'm an 18-year veteran of Norfolk Public Schools. I come to you tonight as a member of the Norfolk Federation of Teachers to speak about teacher retention. This, as we all know, is a big issue in Norfolk. The attendance of NPS teachers at the Virginia Beach Schools Job Fair was astounding. We've seen the exodus happening. We've watched good teachers and administrators, as well as central office personnel, leave for greener pastures. We need to make our pasture the greenest, and one way to do that is to examine the leadership of our schools. We must immediately take an honest look at the principals and assistant principals at each school and rid ourselves finally of the fear and intimidation that some administrators rule by. Too many times over too many years, administrators have been complained about for their unprofessionalism, rudeness, threatening, and intimidating behavior. The blacklist continues to exist in some schools. Principals get angry at something you have or haven't done and then make your life miserable for the rest of the year. We receive a survey each year asking about the school climate. At some schools, the teachers are honest and discuss what the issues have been at their school, yet when the survey results come in, they are a glowing report about the principal's leadership. Many reports have been sent downtown about a principal's behavior from staff and parents, yet those principals are not only still here, they're also still at the same schools. The NFT has been responsible for resolving many issues between teachers and principals, and it provides a great service for us. Mr. Calhoun, when he became president of the NFT, has encouraged us to come to you, the board, to help resolve our problems. Over the past few years, teachers have slowly gotten braver and have started to share their experiences with you. While I know you have listened, what I don't know is what has been done. I encourage you, Dr. Boone, to investigate for yourself. I know too many teachers who are leaving because of the negative interactions with principals. If you want to stop people from wanting to leave, you need to investigate this very serious problem facing us. While I am truly an ambassador for our school system, I'm also a survivor of some of the most difficult leaders. Over time, I've learned how to deal with adversity, but if I were a new teacher, frankly, I'd run. These are difficult times, but if we would all learn to work together with our common goal of giving our best to our students, we can be great again. But first, let's get real. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Howell?
Good evening. I am Vernetta Howell, third grade teacher at Jake House Elementary, and I approach you tonight on behalf of the teachers in Norfolk Public Schools and lesson planning. Plans are to be written for each content taught: math, science, social studies, reading, writing, and 3 differentiated guided reading groups. Plans are consuming our lives and writing these plans. Within each lesson plan template, teachers are increasingly asked to add components. We're asked to include factors such as how do you address the students who do not get or master the content taught? How will you differentiate? How will you extend the lesson? These added components are there, not for the benefit of the teacher, nor for the benefit of the students, but for the benefit of the third party who's reading the plans. This is added work on us. Teachers are human beings with lives, husbands, children, families, and other obligations. Lesson planning is consuming mornings, evenings, nights, and weekends. What does that produce? Another generation of neglected children. How awful to be neglected by a parent who is right there in the house. Fact, it made my heart bleed when I saw a teacher rush after classes to pick her young children up and come back to school to work on her plans. She sat her children at her guided reading table with Happy Meals from McDonald's to eat dinner. Fact, it grieved me when I walked in school at 6:30 one morning and a teacher had her 3 young children in tow, sitting on a blanket in the hall, working while mom ran from class to class gathering resources for her plans. Fact, teachers are arriving at school as early as 5:45 in the a.m. and leaving as late as 8:29 p.m., working on plans. Teachers are then told to share the lesson plans. Well, those plans still need to be tweaked to meet the needs of individual classrooms. I know my students and I know my student learning styles. Teachers are being burned out. Often it is said it's for the children. It's for the best or the need of the children. We need to meet the need of our children. Well, I ask, how is a short-tempered, burned-out, sleep-deprived teacher beneficial to the students? Average amounts of time spent on lesson plans. One teacher stated that she parked her car Friday evening in her driveway and does not leave until Monday morning when she goes back to work because she has spent the weekend planning. Building admin at my building are asked to open the buildings on Saturdays and Sundays, and they do so willingly. That way we won't have to carry or lug resources home, but we are there Monday through Monday. It is understood that some teachers need extra support, but how hypocritical is it to have teachers differentiate our instruction and feedback to the children, yet all teachers are treated the same? I've been trying to address this issue for months. However, I could not attend the meetings because I was at school working on my lesson plans.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Miss Elizabeth Blanchard, followed by Philip Hawkins, Jr.
Good evening, dear members of the board. My name is Elizabeth Blanchard, and I'm a new teacher at Chesterfield Academy. I graduated with honors from Virginia Wesleyan College in December of 2014, and in January of 2015, I had taken over a kindergarten class at Chesterfield Academy. Since I started in January last year to October of this school year, I have received no observations, no feedback, no criticisms, no speaking with my principal one-on-one, any kind of things in talent ed. This year I went with a colleague to sit here in the school board room, one, to see how my new community worked, and also to be a support of her about difficulties that we were having at our school. That's when all of a sudden my observations began. Except for none of them were documented, constructive, or brought before me in the allotted time frame that they usually have to have a meeting with our principal. I have been spoken to harshly, photographed by cell phone, and coerced into signing a resignation letter that I did not wish to sign. I didn't want to fill out a form that stated that I did not want to work with my children anymore, or the other children that I might receive from Norfolk Public Schools. I chose this community for a reason. I was harassed, I was watched and harassed until I had done so, even having my principal sit in my room to watch me fill out the form herself. Frankly, she has made my time in Norfolk hard to bear, and I wake up to think about how will she come at me today. Am I safe? Can I get my job done without feeling uneasy? I feel like I'm being harassed and treated unfairly. Thank you. My hope is to be able to have the chance to find a school where I can grow with my skills and receive helpful feedback in a timely manner. We expect our students to grow their skills and with our help to teach them and give them timely feedback. But what about our teachers? Where is the disconnect when it comes to helping the teachers who teach our children? I know there are more people at my school too afraid to speak out, and they've come to me and they've told me. So please do not allow this to keep happening to our teachers, the other staff members, or frankly our children, because they suffer the most. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, School Board Chair, Mr. Rodney Jordan, Vice Chair, Dr. Noel Gabriel, and members of the Norfolk City School Board and Superintendent Dr. Boone. My name is Philip Hawkins, Jr. I reside at 3597 Mississippi Avenue in the Ingleside community. I am a 19-year school veteran teacher with Norfolk Public Schools, and I currently teach kindergarten at Poplar Halls Elementary School, and I am a lifelong resident and product of the city of Norfolk. I am also a proud leader in the Education Association of Norfolk, the Virginia Education Association, and the National Education Association. I am also a proud member of the Norfolk Environmental Commission and the first vice president of the Norfolk Federation of Civic Leagues. Tonight, I am not speaking as a member of those organizations. I am speaking as an individual. Tonight, I am here to bring up some matters that concern me and many other colleagues across the district. I am here to address the excessive amount of testing that our students are required to take, whether they're from the local district, the state, or the national level. I am sure that, and I hope that you will know what is absolutely necessary in order for our students to truly be prepared for the global society that they live in today and will live in tomorrow. While I am a highly qualified and long-standing educator with Norfolk Public Schools, I am one of the many teachers who saw a need to help our children, and I transferred to a new grade level this school year. Prior to this year, I taught this year I taught earlier at Academy for Discovery in 3rd grade. I've taught for 15 years in pre-kindergarten 3 and 4 here in Norfolk, and I taught 2 years, one in 1st grade and one in 2nd grade. I am gravely concerned that the district is requiring too much testing and excessive and redundant paperwork, and this is placing an undue burden on the classroom teacher and our students, which leaves very little time to provide adequate remediation, planning, material preparation, and delivery of instruction for our students. On average, I am working 70 to 80 hours plus per week to attempt to get things done that I have been told is required and absolutely necessary to teach. This time, of course, is part of my personal time and at nighttime when I should be resting, and on most weekends, in order to be prepared to do what is expected by Norfolk Public Schools. I am not sure if we are focusing on the best use of our human resources for our children. Excessive and redundant paperwork that must be reduced or improved for more efficiency for the teacher and students are included but not limited to these items. And I'm going to close after I list these items. This is what I have to do, but not limited to this. Lesson plans that are long and difficult to read by many, especially many of our guest teachers who come in and substitute for our teachers. They can't even follow the plans. Report cards that require 73, now this is the kindergarten report card. It has 73 areas. It's not aligned to the state SOLs. If you go and look at the SOL number, they are not aligned. Also, we have DRA testing, Dolch word testing, CAP testing, writing samples, stage of writing, letters in upper and lowercase, letter sounds, and also we have to write appropriate comments and feedback to every student on the report card per student. Also, maintaining our portfolios physically and through electronic portfolios, and district assessments, as I mentioned before. So as I close, I am not asking you to raise taxes on our residents, but we do need to have more funding for our schools. I am asking for the school board to consider getting us additional human capital in the need of paraprofessionals in every kindergarten class. There are other districts in our localities that have those items, and also to try to reduce this testing. My full statement is with the clerk, so I will hope that you will respond by the next school board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speakers are Mr. John Williams, followed by Gloria Cole.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Boone. My name is John Williams. I've been a building supervisor for Norfolk Public Schools for 15 years. I'm here to talk about GCA, Marcus Gregory, and Frank Scott. I'm here to talk about, I went on vacation. I was out of town on Martin Luther King Day, and I came back and I went and checked the building. I seen I had a call to check the building. And 2 days later, I was told to meet at Marcus Gregory office to sign a letter of reprimand. And I didn't understand that because I was out of town on my day off. So I didn't understand why I was given a letter of reprimand. And then I was yelled at. I was yelled at worse than a dog. I couldn't believe how he talked to me. And then told Teresa Bray to throw me out of his office. When I signed a letter of reprimand and I wrote my rebuttal on it, he yelled and screamed at me and said, "Don't you write on my paper. Give him another paper to sign." Then after I signed the other paper, he told Teresa to put me out of his office and get out of his building. And then I don't understand, the next day I had a meeting down at the school plant with GCA Services, Rex Gay and Frank Scott. And Frank Scott sent me home for 13 days free, 13 days with pay. And I didn't like that because I'm a person that like to work for my money. So I was sent home for 13 days with pay for what? When I should have been at work making my money. And then I was out of work from January the 22nd to February the 11th, sitting home with pay. So I went back to work on the 11th, and still to this day, I don't understand why I was home for 13 days with pay. And I just want to talk more. I know I don't have enough time, but I'd like to get together and talk about how the taxpayer money is being spent, that somebody can spend the taxpayer money to send somebody home for free to make free money. And then I was threatened by Frank Scott the last time that I came to the school board meeting and asked them to get rid of JCA. I was threatened by Frank Scott that told me, if you ever go back to the school board again, make sure your career with Norfolk Public School is over. And that's what I was told. And to be intimidated with Marcus Gregory, go intimidate all the custodians that are so scared of him. He lead by intimidation and fear. Everybody is so feared to speak up against him. And I want the school board to investigate this because it's not right. We should be able to come to work, do our jobs. I am very professional, and I carry myself very professional. Everybody here that knows me knows I am very professional. And for someone to do the things that they do, to be in a position of authority, is uncalled for, and it should never happen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Boone. My name is Gloria Cole, and I am employed with Norfolk Public Schools as the building supervisor at Grammy Elementary School, and I have been for the last 28 years. Tonight, I would like to tell my story. I have been called a coward. I have been talked down to in meetings. I have been told that I'm ignorant because I have had a conversation with another coworker while sitting next to them. I have been told by Marcus Gregory that he was sent here to get rid of me. But thank God I serve a good God. I'm still here. We do not have proper equipment to work with because it's sitting over in the warehouse broken. We do not have proper mop heads or rags to work with because they're all raggedy merchandise. We get emails from other area managers and my area manager asking for supplies to give to other schools because they're short and so are we. We do not have subs. We have 11 mobile subs that goes to two schools a night for 3 hours. So therefore, many schools are shorthanded when there are 60 schools plus to be handled. During the snow months, we are given 1 to 2 bags of salt to cover the sidewalks around the school, and then asked 2 hours later if we have completed shoving the snow and the sidewalks are frozen solid. We are asked to attend custodian meetings in a damp, cold warehouse
where it's surrounded by broken equipment and chemicals opposed to a school building? So tonight, I'm asking you, Dr. Boone, to investigate our complaints and lack of equipment and the way that we are talked to by Marcus Gregory, GCA employee. Thank you, and have a good evening. Will all my custodian colleagues please stand in support of our complaint? Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ms. Gloria Collins, followed by Janice McKee.
Good evening, Chairman Jordan, school board members, Dr. Boone. My name is Gloria Collins, Membership Services Specialist with the Norfolk Federation of Teachers. I stand too tonight on behalf of the men and women who work tirelessly every day to ensure that teaching and learning occurs in a clean and safe environment. These individuals are here tonight to share with you, as you have already heard, in regards to the issues and concerns that they deal with on a regular basis through GCA services. As membership services specialist with the union, I hear firsthand the problems, the issues, and concerns that these individuals endure under GCA management. They are called to meetings with no prior warning as to why. Letters of reprimand, plans of action are given based on or void of any prior communication or documentation. Due process is non-existent. Due process is non-existent. These individuals are demeaned, they're spoken down to, they're bullied, they are totally disrespected. Things need to change. Everyone is due and entitled to due process. Dr. Boone, you are our new superintendent, but you're not new to the district, and you are well aware of how business should be done. And we are asking tonight that the right to due process be followed and adhered to for all employee groups. Thank you.
Good afternoon, school board, chair, vice chair, superintendent, and other members of the school board. I am not going, what God sent me here to do while I was sitting changed my heart. Because let me tell you something, I gotta have a clean building too. I understand. If your life isn't clean, the rest can't fall in place. I know that I'll be meeting with Dr. Boone prayerfully tomorrow. If not, I'm pretty sure somebody will get with us. Peggy so gracefully addressed some of the issues that concern Compostela, so therefore I don't need to repeat myself. I do want to address on this Black History Month day that, and I needed to go on public knowledge, that on the south side of Norfolk, in 1947, the population of our school, as far as African Americans, is the same in 2016. That's scary. But we want a diverse school. We want a diverse place where children get to meet other children and do other things. I know that your plate is full, Dr. Boone. Dr. King's plate was full too. I guess, and I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay. But somewhere along the lines, on the other side of the bridge, we still looking the same. I wasn't even born in 1947. I was born 10 years later, no, actually 9 years later, but now in 2016 we still look the same. That's scary. But yet, we're supposed to be a diverse city. So I'll see you at our meeting in school board. We'll talk again later. Be blessed.
Ms. Bakiki, also give your address, please.
Yes, my address is 903 Haddon Street. And do I need to tell you what I do? I'm the president of the Civic League in Campostola. I also sit on the Southside Coalition Task Force, and I also sit on the Education Committee for the Southside, along with other things that I just, my resume too long with what I do. That's why I can't make a check. Be blessed.
Thank you. Our last two speakers for the evening are Pearl White, followed by Mr. Thomas Calhoun.
Good evening, everyone. My concern tonight is for the safety and security of the second graders at Poplar Hall School. I realize that the school is overcrowded and that we must have, I'm having a senior moment here. I just lost it. We must have outside buildings, for lack of a better word, to house the children in. The mobiles. Thank you, thank you. Charge it to my age. But I'm concerned that our second graders at Poplar Halls have to go out in the elements in order to go to the bathroom, the library, the cafeteria, and also the fact that when I go to Poplar Halls through the front door, I have to be buzzed in, but at the back door, it's kept ajar by a sign that's used for wet floors. That concerns me. There are too many predators out here. These kids are second graders. They say they have the buddy system. What buddy system is effective against a predator with two second graders? Something needs to be done before somebody's child is kidnapped, before somebody's child is murdered, before somebody's child is molested. There's nothing protecting the back door of that school, and there's nothing protecting those second graders. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done as far as a covering when they leave the mobile to go into the school. With all the different type of weather that we've been having lately, these kids have to go out in the rain, the snow, the wind, and everything just to go to the bathroom, the cafeteria, the library, or if they need to go to the nurse's office. That's unacceptable. Something needs to be done. My name is Pearl White. I live at 1400 Bolton Street in the city of Norfolk. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, School Board Superintendent Boone, my name is Thomas Calhoun. I'm president of Norfolk Federation of Teachers. Can all our members stand that are here? Thank you guys for coming out. You said in your opening that everybody is welcome to come here. That's simply not true, because a lot of these custodians work for GCA part-time. They got calls, like they always do, and they're told if they come to a school board meeting, they're going to be fired, Dr. Boone, Dr. Thornton. They're going to be fired if they come out here, because Marcus said it's GCA policy that anyone who speaks against GCA can no longer work for GCA. They need the jobs, Mr. Chairman. That's why they don't come. That's why they don't talk, because they're told if they do. They show up at a meeting, they're going to be fired. But you know what they do, Mr. Scott? They call me. They can't come talk to you. They say, Ms. Cameron, we will talk to them. If somebody would just investigate Dr. Thornton, we will talk to them. Just don't tell them our name. But they're going to fire him. Dr. Boone, all we want you to do is investigate. Just, look, everything they said tonight, you know what? We done said it. Dr. Thorne, you had a meeting with them, didn't you? Dr. Birdsong, they were kind and gracious to meet with them. That's it. We meet every year with them. That's it. They met. Dr. Boone, please check the contract. The problem is they just check what did we say. They just called Frank Scott and Rex Gay. Well, guess what? They part of the problem, Dr. Boone. We are here tonight. We've been here, you know, Mr. Chairman, we've been here before talking about this. This ain't the first time we talked about GCA, but we got a new superintendent, Dr. Boone. We're hoping and praying. Please investigate the treatment of these people. That young man that spent 13 days home on Super Bowl vacation came back. He got a plan of action. I don't know what. I called Dr. Thorne. Why is he home? I talked to you, Dr. Boone. I talked to you, Dr. Birdsong. Before we came to you, Mr. Chairman, why is he home? 13 days. There's a plan of action. He can't do nothing. This is February this month. I'm going to do something for you. Here's January the 23rd, last month. He on a plan of action this month with 13 days off. Last month, January 23rd, Phyllis Hall exhibits knowledge of job based on job description, provides effective leadership, direction, and supervision, follows oral and written instructions, completes work assignments under normal and emergency conditions. Whoa, demonstrates punctuality and observes assigned working hours. Watch this. Demonstrates superior planning ability and anticipates tasks. Whoa! 2 weeks later, he on a plan of action.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes our speakers for this evening.
All right, well, we thank you all for coming out and sharing with us tonight. We're going to proceed with our meeting, going to excuse Dr. Gabriel. She has an event, and if y'all would just please remember the decorum in the room, we would appreciate that. Next up on the agenda will be the consent agenda. To have a motion from a school board member to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second? Okay. Properly moved in second. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? All right, Ms. Banks, if you call the roll, please.
Thank you. Ms. Basine?
Aye.
Ms. Doyle?
Aye.
Dr. Gabriel?
Aye.
Reverend Haywood?
Aye.
Dr. Robinson?
Aye.
Ms. Wagner?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye. All right, next on the agenda is 6.01, Impact of the Music on Student Success Report. Dr. Boone.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Thank you, Mr. Jordan, members of the board. One of the areas of interest that the board has had is, you know, the value added of the arts in terms of student learning and achievement. And so Dr. Bailey, in concert with others, have looked at, spent time examining these linkages. And so we're very pleased tonight to be able to share this research brief on music involvement and impact on SOL results for last school year. At this time, I turn it over to Dr. Karen Bailey.
Thank you, Dr. Boone and Mr. Jordan and members of the board. Present tonight as part of this presentation is Ms. Danielle Roby. She is Senior Coordinator of Music, and Mr. Dennis Fuddy, Senior Coordinator of Research and Planning. As Dr. Boone mentioned, we have a brief part of information that we would like to share with you related to music and our music students and the SOL performance. In general, researchers believe that music education supports student achievement by increasing engagement, affecting the habits of the mind, thus helping students become better learners. Students who participate in music and study music learn to think creatively and further helps them to be able to solve problems. The overall goal of our music department, and in support of the 76 teachers, they want students to have experience in enrichment, provide a pathway for expression, as well as to develop intellectual disciplines. Here are a few bullets that provides an overview of our music program at a glance. I would like to point out that there are various ensembles for students to participate in, such as chorus, orchestra, and band. Here are a few pictures illustrating our ensembles. These are all of our students. And here we have the breakdown, demographics of our students who took one or more music courses, as well as participated in our SOL testing. You can see that there are some similarities among the ethnic groups, and it is important to note that several of our NCLB subgroups are represented, thus exposing all types of students to music. What we found during our analysis is that students who participate in one or more music courses outperform other students who do not participate in this particular subgroup. The largest difference for the middle schools is grade A writing. Moving on, looking at how our high school and middle schools perform in our end of course assessments, you see that the same thing is evident when you look at the students as a subgroup who participated in one or more music courses compared to those who did not. We realize that you have not had a chance to review our research brief, but these are a few bullets that we gleaned from the report and want to specifically note that NPS results is aligned with research that suggests the music involvement has a positive benefit on student achievement. In closing, I would like to leave with you that music helps with student engagement and creative thinking skills. And I would like to ask Ms. Danielle Roby if she would like to give us some just brief closing remarks.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. I first want to thank Dr. Bailey and Mr. Fuddy for the excellent work that they did and the very thorough research in compiling this information to be able to share this with the board. Many times we talk about the benefits of music education outside of what the data can provide to us in terms of academic achievement. When we look at our schools in terms of student engagement, graduation rate, discipline, incidences of discipline, that's another area where we'd like to expand our research and look at the overall aspects of what music can do as a benefit for our students. There are many occasions where these performing groups serve as ambassadors of our district. And when we have a focus on telling our story, it's very important that we're always putting, of course, our best foot forward, and our best asset is our students themselves. And so in our high schools, groups like the Strolling Silver Strings, the All-City Jazz Band, recently our high school All-City Chorus at the Tattoo, serve as ambassadors for the excellence within our district. And it's important to note that while those students maintain such a heavy performance schedule, they're also very high flyers academically. There is a year in the Strolling Silver Strings where all 5 high school valedictorians were members of the Strolling Silver Strings. So along with AP classes, honors classes, taking courses for credit through TCC, dual enrollment, IB, they were still outperforming an average of 50 to 60 performances a year. And that's quite a time commitment and time management. And we kind of call it an executive schedule for those students. Please consider, as we move forward, in the decisions that you make as a board in continuing to support the arts. It's something we're very, very proud of. We're recognized for it through other urban music districts across the country. They look to us as a model, and it's definitely something to continue and be proud of. and I thank you for your support and your consideration as you read the additional research document. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This concludes our report.
Dr. Boone, anything you'd like to add?
I certainly want to thank Dr. Bailey and members of her department and Ms. Roby for creating those clear linkages between the arts and student achievement. You all have heard me talk about it before, that too often in difficult fiscal times, that one of the first things we begin to remove from our schools, particularly in urban schools, are the arts, foreign languages, advanced placement, and athletics. And yet we know that a well-rounded education is about an education for lifelong learning, and the arts really become a vehicle by which learning continues. And every student should have exposure to the arts and begin to have an appreciation, whether or not they begin, wind up as being performers or artists or whatever else. It's not necessarily about that for those students who don't have that interest and that talent, but it is about helping them understand the value of the arts in our lives. And so, you know, I'm the beneficiary as superintendent of Norfolk of a thriving arts program, and one where this board, I think, knows very clearly that in tough economic times, I'm not touching the arts. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Board members, any comments or questions on the report? Reverend Haywood.
Yes, I do have a comment and followed by a question. So my comment is this. I've had an opportunity over the last 3 years to see the arts program in a number of the schools, and particularly the elementary schools. And I have to tell you, there are superstar teachers out there teaching. In fact, there's a whole constellation of superstars in Norfolk Public Schools that go unnoticed, the outstanding work that they do. You know, who knows about the music teacher over at Jaycox and the wonderful work that she does, or the music teacher at Tarleton, the wonderful work that she does. I was at one program and I saw, the music teacher had prepared her students and was delivering the program, but I also noticed another music teacher there. So I asked him, why was he there? He said, I'm here to support this music teacher here, and I'm going to help her program to be successful. And I thought that spoke volumes in terms of what is happening around the district. There are also students who are outstanding. I've sat in on some of these performances or practices, and I tell you, the students tell me what to do, they tell me. So I've been very impressed by all of that. But one concern that I had, Dr. Boone, and I think that this is a concern across the country, is that there's this tension in our schools between getting enough time to prepare for testing and the arts. And so what we have seen is not that these programs have been, well, in some cases they have been taken out of our schools as a result of budgets. But I think more importantly, what we see is that building leaders oftentimes will preempt the music programs so that students can further prepare for testing. Now, I know that you don't approve of that, and I certainly understand that this is a practice that isn't done in most of our schools. I do know that it happens at some of our schools. And I've been in the schools where they've had these very strong programs. It adds to the culture of the school. It adds to the academic culture of the school. And to reduce a music program like that, first of all, the work of a music teacher is built over a number of years. And so when you reduce a program like that in a given year so that your SOL tests scores might improve, you really damage the culture of the school. So Dr. Boone, I just wanted to know, what is your administration doing to assure that these types of practices will not continue?
Reverend Haywood, it's good to hear of your awareness of these practices going on. You know, in the few short weeks that I've been here, I've heard a lot of different things anecdotally, but again, as you've experienced and seen this firsthand, it really brings to mind the culture that has shifted based on accountability. Accountability for results and student achievement is not a bad thing. Our response to how we address and achieve the accountability expectations are choices that we've made as a district that gets us to a point of over a bar. And this is that tension point that in a community like Norfolk, where you know we've not had the success in terms of school performance as it relates to state accreditation, and that tension between a well-balanced education that is not just about test scores, it really is about how we educate children well. And this plays into the conversations that I've been having with the state superintendent, and that awareness that my idea of turning around a school for success is not about crossing an annual benchmark, but it really is about how do we develop the practices and the skill sets in supporting teachers and students such that we have the depth of knowledge and the depth of progress in schools, that we aren't in fear or danger of stepping away in a one-year window from accreditation, but really we're building success. And so that is something I was saying to the board earlier, since last Monday has really been my aha moment, that I realized what I was saying about school turnaround is not the state's definition. The state talks about improvement. Well, improvement to get to the accreditation benchmark. For me, that's not enough. But if we focus on the accreditation, then we see some of these things that have happened. And I'm hopeful and prayerful that the board will be with me on a journey where we get out of the mode of just trying to get to the test scores, but where we begin to talk about the growth and the progress of the schools outside of that. I'm not saying we don't need to get to the state's benchmarks, but what I am saying is that there is a process to get to sustained performance, not just get improvement to get to the performance. But I want to get our schools out of harm's way so that we don't feel that we're chasing the accreditation standard, but when we focus on what we teach, how we teach, and align the resources to accomplish that and support both our educators and our students and wrap those services around them for success, then we get to the point of not fearing the accreditation. If we do all of that well, we will get the accreditation. And so I'm trying to chase teaching and learning in this purest fashion, but I too live with the tension between accreditation and accountability and public report cards, and why we want our community to choose our schools to educate. But this is the work that we're now engaged in, not even just about going forward. It's the work that we're currently engaged in. And I will certainly continue to follow up with the leadership team and others to make sure that we're using time appropriately. Reading and math occur in the arts. So when you take away reading, what better place to learn about fractions than in a music class when you learn time signature stuff?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank Dr. Bailey and her shop for this work. When you look at these reports, it really is an eye-opener, and I would encourage parents and building leaders to really look at this research, because it definitely shows the correlation. It's a very important study. And I just want to thank you for your work, and Dr. Roby, I appreciate this honorary doctorate for, you're just everywhere doing all kinds of great things, and we appreciate what you're doing.
Ms. Bassi?
Thank you so much for the report. I'm glad to hear Dr. Boone share her commitment to the arts and the music program, and I support that effort as well. But in looking at the data, as Dr. Bailey said, we didn't have a lot of time to actually look and digest the information that's been given to us tonight. But one question I do have, as we have just passed an equity policy, is I'm always thinking of confounders. And when we look at a group of students overall, I think about the students in each school building and how the data looks by each school building, because as we know, students who come from families with resources oftentimes not only take music in the school building, but they also take music outside of the school building. And so looking at students who specifically take music courses within the school building and not outside, and then looking at those who take both, and then looking by school building, I think would be really interesting to look at as we do plan from a budget standpoint and plan from a programmatic standpoint to ensure that we do have those opportunities available to all students who want to explore instruments and arts and theater, and that whether it's after school programs or other ways of incorporating it, as Dr. Boone just mentioned, integrating it within the other subject areas, I think that would be really interesting to look at. So just something for the future.
Anyone else? I just have one area to ask if you all would look at moving forward. Being able to see where a student may be prior to entering, getting involved in music, and then what if we see a leap. Because it's sometimes it's hard to tell, are the students that are motivated academically taking music, are the students who are in music just motivated, but if there's some way to see if from some cohort of students who were not involved in music and the arts, and then they got involved in music and the arts, what type of growth do we see there? But other than that, it's great research, and I look forward to being able to read the full report. But I agree with Reverend Haywood. I think we know that the music has positive impact. I just like to be for us to be able to show it a little more, and then you all can come back with recommendations then around what we should do as a board to encourage more involvement if indeed we're seeing that it's leading to the type of results that we want to see. So. Dr. Boone, anything else on this topic?
No, sir.
All right. Next, we have our gifted education plan review. Dr. Boone.
And yes, Dr. Rogers and Ms. Tuck are coming forward to address the local plan for gifted.
Good evening, Dr. Boone, Mr. Jordan, Chairman, and school board members. At this time, Mrs. Tuck is going to present an overview of some of the recommended changes for the local gift plan for the gifted education that we provide our students in Norfolk Public Schools. And keep in mind that this is in draft form, and as shared previously, the plan in and of itself is due in September of 2016, where we will have our technical review of our gifted program. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Mrs. Tuck.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. Good evening, Dr. Boone, Mr. Jordan, school board members, and our guests and friends of Norfolk Public Schools. I'm very happy to present our local plan. Our local plan, because someone asked, what exactly is the local plan? The local plan is our district's plan for services of gifted students in our district. We're mandated by the Virginia Department of Education to have a plan. The plan must be reviewed and approved by the school board. The plan must be submitted for technical review and on a schedule set up by the Virginia Department of Education. We worked on this plan with all stakeholders. Gifted resource teachers came together in October with the technical review template. They met in teams of 6. They reviewed the local plan with the template and made suggestions and recommendations. Those suggestions and recommendations were gathered by the senior coordinator and the teacher specialist. The changes and revisions were made to the plan. The plan was then introduced to the Gifted Education Advisory Committee. This was done in December. Then on December 4th, the plan was taken for peer review in a mock technical review activity. In this particular instance, more suggestions were made based on the technical review template. Those changes were made to the plan, and then in February, on February 2nd, the changes to the plan was presented to the Gifted Education Advisory Committee. More suggestions were made to the plan. Those suggestions were placed into the plan, and then on February 4th, the new revisions were made. Our local plan is scheduled for technical review in September. What we did, we looked at what we do, and we changed the plan according to the best practices. We removed technical and practical arts aptitude as an area of identification. We updated our screening and referral process in our plan. It was more defined and clarified. The bylaws to the Gifted Education Advisory Committee were revised by GAC, and then the appendix was added to the plan. We have submitted the plan to board docs, and so you're able to see the local plan in its entirety. The changes have been highlighted, and so also notes have been added to the plan and to the draft of the plan. Are there any questions?
Ms. Doyle?
Sure. Ms. Tuck, thank you very much for the presentation. This is very thorough, so I appreciate your efforts in doing so and bringing it to us in this time of year so we have the opportunity to comment prior to the September formal review. So I have a few questions. Why was the technical and practical arts aptitude removed? What's the reason behind that?
The way in which we identified students really did not address that particular aptitude. For example, students were given an essay and an interview. There is not an assessment instrument available at this time that will really meet that need. There is no area in our state that has career and technical aptitude identification. I consulted with Dr. Donna Poland of the Virginia Department of Education, and I talked about what we did as identification practice and what's being done across the state. And so before that was made, we did a lot of research. And so we want to be able to say that what we do stands up to integrity. And so even though we still have, for example, North Star as an enrichment activity, we don't identify those students as gifted in the technical arts.
Okay. And then as a follow-up, as you might have heard during our budget discussion as a board a meeting or so ago, I was recommending that we more than fully fund the gifted program, and we look at the number of gifted resource teachers or teachers in general that we have in the classroom or in the school building. But to do that also, we have to know what the effectiveness is of the program. And so on page 44, you outline the various criteria, and I would like to see personally the data related to that, and maybe a 3 years window of that so that we can see the trend, because again, I think that will help justify the request for the additional budget should we see some progress. And if we're not seeing progress, then we just need to ask the questions why, and where's the gap, and how do we fill the gaps. But I think that's important for us to be transparent with this data and for us to see it. So I don't believe as a board member I've seen this before, so I'm asking for that now. And I think it's timely that we do see it so that we can support our budget request in order to grow our gifted program within Norfolk Public Schools.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
Oh, I thought you said 3. Okay.
Nope, that's it.
Ms. Basine?
Ms. Tuck, thank you for your work on the plan. One question that I have, or maybe a suggestion, is the goals. Some plans that I've looked at have had the goals with measurable objectives as part of their goals. And in this plan, I noticed that there weren't very many measurable objectives, and I guess I'm trying to understand the rationale for not including that information. just so, to piggyback on what Ms. Doyle just said, so that we can assess how we're doing, how we're meeting those goals and targets.
Well, the local plan followed the template that was provided by the state. And so that portion is not in a part of the template. We can include it, that's true, but for this particular revision, we went by the template.
And I have one more additional question. Accountability for principals has been something I know as a board member who is also a GIAC rep and has been a GIAC member for several years. Principal accountability, as you know, has come up quite a bit in terms of how gifted services are implemented in our school buildings and the consistency across the division. And we've talked about that, and I guess I'd like to hear your thoughts about its incorporation into the plan, or what we need to do as a division to better ensure that students, particularly in some of our underserved schools, are being serviced appropriately.
Thank you. As you see in the plan, we recommend cluster grouping for our gifted learners. Research shows that that's the best way to do it. In schools that are doing that, we find that the services for gifted students are really effective, where the gifted resource teacher is able to gather the students either in a push-in or pull-out model. We have principals who understand the importance of that, but we also have some schools in which the gifted students are scattered. And so, as I've observed some gifted resource teachers, a lot of time was spent in gathering those students. We do recommend cluster grouping. In fact, cluster grouping is good for gifted learners from K through 12. And so when principals utilize that in their scheduling, we find that the services for gifted students really is supported. It helps to facilitate those services. I recommend that the board encourage cluster grouping, encourage our principals to really adhere to that because it is in our local plan as part of the services for gifted learners.
Ms. Doyle?
I do have one more question. So I noticed that Camp Launch was removed due to the grant funding not being renewed. How many students participated in that on an annual basis?
Okay, Camp Launch is a program by William & Mary.
Right.
A wonderful program. They allowed us to have 2 to 4 students per middle school. And these were students from underserved populations, students who typically were low economic status but gifted. An excellent program. Norfolk Public Schools was so involved that they increased the number of students that participated in the program. Unfortunately, the grant was not renewed by William & Mary. So we want to try to duplicate some of the things that that program did. The students stayed 2 weeks on the campus of William & Mary. They were involved in many different activities. The students were encouraged to think about William & Mary as a possibility for them in the future, and many of them did that. Students are now, I think they're students probably in 9th grade, and there was one student who came back last summer who said, you know what, I never thought about William & Mary before, but now I'm interested in going to William & Mary. Dr. Tracy Cross, who spearheaded the grant, was a student of humble means, and so he knows what it's like to be gifted but not have resources available. So therefore, this grant, Camp Launch, came about. So we are saddened that the grant was not renewed, but we hope that it will come back again soon.
Well, I wonder if in the meantime, if we can consider maybe some other revenue source or grant opportunity or funding maybe from the Norfolk Education Foundation that could help bridge the gap. Because if it has been so effective and served such, students in such a, wonderful way, I'd hate to just give it up for the sake of the grant, just went away. So I would ask Dr. Boone if we can just find just look into the fact, could we find a potential another resource?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting here hearing this for the first time, that the only access to this was funding through a grant.
Right.
And my sense, and I don't know this to be a fact, is perhaps we haven't been aggressive enough in figuring out how, if we can't cover or support the number of students who originally participated, and as you said, what a great opportunity perhaps for the foundation and others to help sponsor scholarships for students to participate. We can do a lot more to figure out how we close the gap. We may not get back to the original numbers in this first round in as short as time frame that we have, but we can certainly get some students to that program.
Yeah, I think if we got the word out, there might be people who would just be generous enough to dedicate funding for this particular purpose through the NEF. So.
Yeah, it wasn't just Norfolk Public Schools. It
Right.
was, Newport News. It was
Right.
a lot of different regions. But really, most of the students came from our region.
Yeah.
And we're very happy to participate.
Right,
Thank
so
you.
Thank you very much for the report, Dr. Boone. If you can provide back to the board a process, is there a schedule where you would like to get any additional feedback from the board? We know that we have the technical review that's due in September, or at least the final piece. I think in the past, in some of our gifted processes, we would receive a letter or something from GIAC. So if there's just some additional steps and deadlines that the board can be aware of, then that would be helpful to make sure we provide feedback to you, and we can schedule this for a vote for approval.
We'll make sure we finalize those timelines for the board and the expected actions.
Well, thank you very much. Next up, we have our monthly financial report.
Chairman Jordan, school board members, Dr. Boone, good evening. Agenda item 6.03 is your monthly financial report for the month ending January 31, 2016. It includes both your general fund and your child nutrition services fund. General fund revenues received as of January 31, 2016, $167.7 million, representing 53.3% of budgeted general fund revenues, which is slightly below the rate of revenues recognized this time last year, and that's due primarily to the timing in which we receive funding from the city. We would expect that the city funding would catch up as we go towards the end of the fiscal year. In previous months, the city had accelerated the rate of releasing appropriations to the school division, so it's more the timing of cash flow and things, but we would expect that by the end of the fiscal year, we would catch up on a trend basis. You also have there your expenditures for January 2016 through January 2016, $165.8 million, representing 52.7% of your total operating expenditures. And this is, again, trending lower at a slower rate than expenditures this time last year. And again, that's due primarily to the timing of information technology expenditures and the amount of expenditures information technology. You also have in your packet as well the similar report for your Child Nutrition Services Fund. Child Nutrition Services revenues, just under $8.1 million, representing 44.5%, which is ahead of pace this time last year for Child Nutrition Services revenue, and that's due primarily to the timing in which we're now receiving funds through the Virginia Department of Education for our Child Nutrition Services National School Lunch Program reimbursements. And on the expenditures for Child Nutrition Services, $8.8 million, representing 48.6 million, which again is at a slower rate of expenditure compared to last year, and that's due primarily to the rate of expenditure of operating supplies and capital for the school food service program. You also have in your packet the transfers in excess of $50,000, as well as the analysis by program, budget to actual on a trend basis. Questions?
Questions? Ms. Doyle?
Dr. Thornton, thank you for the report. How certain are we that the city is going to approve the ordinance for the funds to be available for us to spend to cover for the furniture, fixtures, and equipment so that we can in turn use the CTI monies as we would like to spend?
city has, as noted there, the city has actually transferred the funds into our bank account.
Right.
We are asking the city, and it's our belief and expectation that the city would officially appropriate the funds, which gives us that legal authority to expend. City staff has shared with us that in their opinion, they've appropriated the funds, but, so we're working with them through that. I've also spoken with Mr. Cloud, just to give us an unofficial opinion on what we want to do, because what we don't want to do, we're talking about $6.6 million
right.
in FF&E, or furniture, fixtures, and equipment funds that have been transferred to the schools per our request. But what we're asking for is to make sure that we have the legal appropriation
right.
to authorize to spend those funds, because they're going to be expended over multiple projects over multiple years, and we just want to make sure we're on solid ground before we start actually expending the funds against that particular source that they provided. So we're not, the note here is indicating that we are right now charging it against
CTI.
Appropriations of CTI, and then once the appropriation, if in fact the legal department at the city does confirm our belief that the appropriation is needed, then we'll transfer those expenditures over. So we're not going to delay the actual ordering of the furniture
right.
And equipment because of that technicality.
But right now, we're going to use the CTI funding in place of it.
That's where we're charging it, yes.
Right, so are we going to miss the opportunity to use the CTI funds for what we had originally intended to do?
No, the CTI funds, you remember when those funds were made available through the 2-cent
right.
Tax rate increase, those funds have been appropriated each year, but we have not been expected, nor should we have expended them, because they're for future debt service.
Okay. And
The city has basically appropriated the money with the expectation in the past 2 fiscal years that we would not expend that. Basically, it reverts back to the city at the end of the year.
Is there enough CTI funding this year to cover the FFE that we need to open these first 2 schools?
We are finalizing the FF&E cost proposals now.
Right.
We anticipate that it will probably exceed the allocation by school, and we'll have to work with the city to identify what additional resources would be needed to support those.
So I guess in the end, what we really want to do is get the technical opinion that we can spend the money that was allocated to us versus having to spend our own CTI, right?
So we can charge it to the accounts in
The
which
appropriate.
they're intended, to
Right.
the CIP fund.
Anyone else? Have a motion to approve the financial reports? Have a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the financial reports? Hearing none, Ms. Banks, you call the roll, please.
Aye.
Ms. Doyle?
Aye.
Reverend Haywood?
Aye.
Dr. Robinson?
Aye.
Ms. Wagner?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye. Thank you, Dr. Thornton.
Sir, thank you all.
So as we are approaching the end of the meeting, just like to take advantage of School Board Appreciation Month to ask the board and maybe the public to partner with us on something. As a board, we, at our recent training, we talked about our process for citizens' comments, and we wanted to make sure that we were providing appropriate guidelines to make sure that folks knew what to do, and also to make sure that we had an appropriate follow-up. For those of you that don't know, what we do as a board, after each meeting, we do a self-evaluation. And I'd just like to ask if, when we do the evaluation of this meeting, if board members would give any additional feedback on us continuing to make sure that process works well. And I would ask for our friends who, especially those who speak frequently, one of the things I want you to know as school board members, kind of going back to the video, when we go into grocery stores and our phones ring, our emails come, and we often hear from members of the public who have comments about teachers, they have comments about principals, they have comments about administration, and what we try to do is make sure folks go through a appropriate protocol. But one of the things that we are always cautious about is to make sure, as was said earlier, that everybody has the due process and that there are always multiple sides to a story. That is not to suggest that what we hear we don't take seriously, because we do. But one of the things that I'll just say personally kind of makes me cringe, what we talk about in our school board training, we ask that board members direct their comments. So if we're getting in a debate with each other, they ask them to direct their comments to the chair and not to each other, so things don't escalate. And I would ask if members of the public, if you all would email me, frankly, and give me some thoughts on what we can do to make sure that as we deal with public comments, if there's something that wants to be directed at an individual, how do we do that in a way, because we can't go to the mic and have back and forth. And we always want to be able to protect your privacy and issues that relate to personnel matters. And frankly, I don't want to be the type of person who's up here banging on the gavel all the time. I don't think we need to do that. But this is new for us in terms of this process, and if there are ways that we can find to make sure that we always protect everybody's First Amendment rights, but at the same time do it in a way that all of us can be protected and all of us can have a right to due process. I just want to throw that out there for consideration, so we continue to work together and address the many issues that we have, and also celebrate the wonderful things that are happening in the district. So I just kind of wanted to end with that. Wanted to thank Ms. Banks again as part of school clerk appreciation as well for the support that she gives. And I don't know if anyone else had any brief remarks, since we're at 9 o'clock. Ms. Basine, and then I'll close with Dr. Boone. Yes.
I do. I want to thank all of my board colleagues for all the work that you do, and to the cabinet, to the teachers here, the principals, and all the work that you do every day. I know you work tirelessly on behalf of our students. So I want to thank you for that, and of course our board clerk. I also want to talk about our students real quick, because there are two events this weekend that I'm not sure how publicized they've been, but we have a district science fair on Saturday, and we also have the spelling bee at WHRO at 2 o'clock. So I believe it's 2 p.m. And I think, is that right? I know Ms. Pryor, you're on it, yeah? Okay. So I want to wish the students who are not here, who made it that far, I wish them luck in their efforts, and that's it.
Dr. Boone?
Thank you. There are two proclamations that were approved in tonight's consent agenda that I want to recognize, because the next time we get there, we'll be rolling toward the end of the month. But March represents significant time. You know, we did our report tonight on the connection between music and the arts and student achievement. March is Music in Our Schools Month, and it's also Youth Art Month. So as we think about going into March, please recognize and remember our arts and music as an integral part. And those proclamations will be posted on our website, and we will do the appropriate celebrations for those during the month of March. But we get to continue our celebration of the arts next month.
With that, we will stand adjourned, and thank you again for coming out and for all the support. We look forward to see you out in the community.